What's up, guys? This is Jay from COI. So, yesterday we saw democracy officially die. I think we all knew it was dying and or dead. It's kind of like a relative who unfortunately has cancer and you see it coming. Um, but yesterday was when it fully happened. And of course, I'm talking about the vote that happened on the Senate floor with Mitch McConnell in my idea, handing off a couple of get out of jail free cards to um, a few of his colleagues so they could say they voted to block witnesses, or they did not vote to block witnesses, um, but the rest of them doing so. And once it was noted that they have the votes to block the witnesses, then people like Susan Collins came out and said, "Oh yeah, I know, I didn't vote for that." Yeah, yeah, interesting. But yes, the Senate did, in fact, vote to block witnesses. Um, it, like I said, it's basically that's it. I'll tell you why. Number one, we have a GOP who has stated from the beginning it was a perfect phone call, the most perfect phone call. I don't think Trump did anything wrong on this phone call. Then, well, okay, so he said some stuff, but he wouldn't do it. Then he does an interview and he says, "Yeah, if I could, I would." Then they say, "Yeah, okay, but he's not actually going to do it." And yesterday, Marco Rubio, Lamar Alexander, some of the pinnacles of the Republican Party came out and said, "Yeah, no, we don't need any more evidence. He definitely did this, but we don't care. We're still not voting to impeach. We're not voting for witnesses. We're not voting to impeach. We're going to end this as quickly as possible so we can get back to corruption as usual." Here's the problem. If you're a Republican and you're for this and you say, "Well, Trump didn't do anything." Well, for one, no, Trump did do something. Well, let's be clear. Even the GOP says, "Yo, yeah, this was a problem, but it's not a big enough problem." So, again, and I mention this to all my conservative listeners, this is what you have in 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, whenever. Let's say slimy Joe Biden or crooked Hillary somehow makes their way into the office, which I could see it happening. I really could. They're going to do the same shit. And what are you going to do? You can't do anything. You set precedent already. And I understand that these politicians are so busy collecting money that they don't have time to understand how the judicial system works. But once precedent is set, it's really hard to back. Look at Roe v. Wade. I mean, how long and how hard have the conservatives been trying to fight that? They had Senate, House, they have the Supreme Court and president. They still couldn't do it. Overturning precedent is very difficult. So, yeah, I mean, if you wanted to turn this into a one world government ran by the Clintons, congratulations, you just did that. They will never lose an election again because you now have allowed for outside influence to affect our elections, which means let's be fair here. Look, we can talk not only fraud, let's talk about capital. And look, that happens. APAC. I mean, APAC is basically funded by Israel. Political. So we're talking money. We're talking uh, your typical just funneled fraud. Um, you know, just let that list keep going and going. And the GOP, in this regard, has set up a pathway to dictatorship. And that's what happened yesterday. I know it sounds like I'm a little dramatic with it, but let's let's look at the past. and see that the fist that they have inside of us, they just keep itching up 1 inch by inch by inch over the time until we don't notice it. Till we don't notice the fact that they're just outright stealing elections from people. And no, I'm not talking about Trump, Hillary. Hillary got lazy and lost. I'm talking about a lot of other elections. I'm talking Bush, Gore. They just take it. What are you going to do? Shut up. American people don't deserve a voice. We're not smart enough to have a voice. Everything that these senators said they stand for, they proved yesterday that they don't. Again, we had our inklings, but that was the definitive proof. They don't care about democracy. They don't care about corruption. They don't care about justice. All they care about is the GOP and their party. It's always been party before country. And now we're starting to see that. And they wonder why the populism movement is growing like it is. Because every one of us realize that the GOP and the Democrat Party, for us, it's intangible. It's a vote that we make. We can change, we can flip, and we can get rid of all of that in an instant. For them, it's a career. It's their survival. We don't have a problem destroying all that. And again, it's things like that happened yesterday is why the progressive movement and the populism is growing to all-time high. And with that in mind, take you to our other story, which is Bernie Sanders just doesn't die. Look, about a year ago, when Bernie was in, he had made his announcement. They said, look, when Biden steps in, then Bernie's done. Biden stepped in, didn't make a difference. There was Bernie. Cut to the endorsements. And Biden was endorsed by AOC. And I remember seeing everywhere, oh, that's a step too far. People are okay with Bernie, but it's his cohorts, his far left, outside the box cohorts. The American people are not going to allow that. He's going to lose. He's going to drop in poll numbers, and he keeps rising, keeps going. They were wrong again. Then his policies. Well, if he just goes hardcore on Medicare for all, and he doesn't, allow for a public option, then he's done for. He's not going to make it through. What's he do? Says we're doing Medicare for all. Not all who want it, not all who ask, but every single goddamn person in this country will get Medicare. And what happens? Surges. Surges, surges, surges. It keeps happening. Every time someone steps to him, he walks away the victor. And what happens when people contradict his plans? Let's look at Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris was one of the first people who I was like, okay, I was wrong. Because she announced multiple times on the debate stage that she was for Medicare for all. I was like, okay, well, maybe she's a pretty valid option then. Then she started backing away and says, "No, I think we can work on more of an Obamacare type insurance." And what happened? Boop. She tanked. Or the juggernaut that was once leading some national polls, Elizabeth Warren, who decided not only is she going to destroy her political career and her chances at presidency in one foul swoop, she'll also change her policies and her friendships by moving away from Medicare for all and calling Bernie a sexist. Boop. There goes Elizabeth Warren. Not even a shot. Like, no one's even talking about Warren anymore. It was so quick. It was like Hillary's assassins came in and just did the job themselves. They Epsteined her quickly. Um, so this takes me to where we're at right now, and that is Bernie is now ahead in some national polls. It's amazing, and he keeps rising, keeps getting better and better and better. And we got even better news coming out of uh, the Iowa caucuses when Andrew Yang was asked, if you have to drop out, where do you think your supporters will go? This is a like kind of a wink and a nod as to say, who do you hope your supporters vote for? And he said Bernie Sanders. The Yang Gang is strong, my friend, and his supporters are some of the most intelligent supporters there are. They know the policy, they understand the future, and they can understand nuance, which is unlike a lot of other politician supporters. Um, you know, and I don't want to say this, but for a lot of them, it's identity politics. It's what they look like. It's the way that a candidate makes them feel. Unfortunately, those voters are ignorant, and the Yang Gang is a great ally to have. And I think to move forward to get even more traction, Andrew Yang, Tulsi Gabbard, they need to come together with Bernie, and Bernie needs to start talking to them. Because let's be honest, guys, it would take more than the Minneapolis Miracle for Yang or Gabbard to walk away as the nominee. It's just not going to happen. I I would be totally fine with it was. Like honestly, for any Yang supporters listening, I'm Bernie and then Yang, like or Gabbard, one of the two. Like they're a close second, both of them are. I don't like that it's Bernie or Biden, but I think Bernie needs to sit down. He needs to talk with Andrew Yang and say, look, we can do a UBI. Let's focus on that. Maybe even offer him a position to help with that, but I don't think Yang even wants that. I think Andrew Yang is one of the few genuine people who's actually running for president because he actually wants to help people. He's not looking for a job, he's not looking for power. He has all of that. He genuinely sees that this is a big problem. Automation is taking away all of our jobs, and it needs to be addressed. And I think if Bernie said, look, we'll put in a UBI, I think Yang would say, okay, I'm dropping out. Thank you. Take the mantle and run with it. Call me for advice if you need any. I'm done. I'm going to go back to my life. I'm going to go back to living with my children and my wife. I'm going to stop touring relentlessly. I think I think that he would definitely do that. He just seems very principled. Now, Gabbard, Bernie could easily get her support and offer her a prominent position in the party. And then that takes me to the last strategic person. And I hate saying it because it sucks, but I think he needs to get into a conversation with Elizabeth Warren. And hear me out here because I know so many of you have been, tweeting snakes at her. She's still a powerhouse. I mean, she's still at like 3 or 4. And look who Biden's going to be able to run with. Biden's going to have Buttigieg and Bloomberg. And Bloomberg, unfortunately, is jokingly and as pathetic as we all think he is, he's at like 10%. He's not doing that bad. And that's kind of a scary place to be. But you take and you just consolidate Biden and Buttigieg, it would be really, really difficult for Bernie to win. So we got to start teaming up. This becomes that time where we have to start consolidating our votes, getting behind the man or woman that we believe in, and right now, I think you're gonna see, and Klobuchar, by the way, too, is another one who we should definitely stay away from, but still has some power in that Biden could get. So what we're gonna see on the more neoliberal side is Klobuchar and Buttigieg aligning themselves with Biden, and Bernie's got to pick and choose who he's going to have. And Yang's already thrown that out. Tulsi was seen going into the Sanders headquarters, so I'm sure they're talking. They have a great relationship, so I don't think that'll be a problem. But I think he's going to have to mend some fences with Elizabeth Warren. And right now, a lot of people think that they're still going to do well. So it's not going to change quickly, but behind the scenes, these are conversations that the Sanders campaign should be having with other politicians. Um, you know, it's just a matter of time before Klobuchar, Buttigieg, and Warren, and unfortunately Yang and Gabbard all realize like it's time to bounce. But it's closer than what we would like. I know it seems early, but look, whoever wins the first three states has a really good shot at getting the nominee, especially if it's Biden. It's over because Biden has this giant lead on Super Tuesday. Uh, Someone like Bernie is going to be hacking away at that, and so if we come out of the Iowa caucus and somehow Yang is at like he takes a majority, and Biden is unable to even get 15%, then okay, we're talking a completely different story. But right now, this would be the strategy to win for Bernie. Anyway, thanks a lot, guys. I'm curious what you guys think about all that. What do you think about the quote unquote impeachment trials that we just got through with basically? I know they're not technically over yet, but they're over. And your thought on the election, how it's going, how Bernie is turning into this just unstoppable force. If you challenge him, you're proving that you're the problem, and he walks away with more support. Anyway, thanks a lot, guys. Have a great weekend.